Right, welcome to today's video. Terry Gilliam drops some bombs on the left and labels himself, well, and gets labelled offensive, disdain, people thinks he's horrible, everything under the sun by a total idiot that interviewed him that did not understand his sense of humour in any way, shape or form. Now, I don't like everything that Terry Gilliam has done, but he absolutely makes some sense here. And it's not even just from this part here. I'm tired of white men being blamed for everything wrong with the world. It's definitely not just to do with that. He makes some very, very good and astute observations about the entire diversity side of things, and it's very, 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 very good. And he's been taken to town by the blue check marks over on the Twitter by the likes of Alexandra Pollard, essentially a child who clearly does not understand the years behind Terry Gilliam in respect to Monty Python. So, well done. In fact, her article, just to bring it home to everyone before we even get into it, had the title of Terry Gilliam interview, "I'm tired of white men being blamed for everything," right? And she goes, "I can't say it was a pleasure to interview Terry Gilliam. You should have brought some respect to that interview. By his own admission, Terry Gilliam is offensive, but it's not his fault, it's yours. People work so hard to be offended now." I genuinely think they do. When they are offended for other people, that's when you know we are in a sorry state of affairs. Now, again, like I said, I don't agree with absolutely everything that Terry Gilliam has said, but in this, he takes it to town, and it's fantastic. So this is Alexandra Pollard, an interview with The Independent, and Gilliam details that in the film Don Coyote is a made man. So that's how this kind of starts, right? It's about his film, Don Coyote. And it continues, but his view of the world is a noble one. It's about chivalry, it's about rescuing maidens, all these wonderful ideas, which is, why not have earnest ideas in a film, for God's sake. When asked if the film explores the clash between modern masculinity and old-fashioned ideals of manhood, why would you think that? Why would you think that that's what happens? Terry Gilliam responds, "There's no room for modern masculinity. I'm told the male gaze is over." Touché, Terry Gilliam, touché. He does say some stuff in here which does go off on a bit of a tirade, but he rounds it out, so bear with it, because it will make sense. Gilliam then discusses Joanna Ribeiro's Angelica, a film star who was promised to make it big, but has ended up becoming a model and an escort. He states, "In the age of Me Too, here's a girl who takes responsibility for her state." Nothing wrong with that. I think more people do need to take responsibility for their actions. Too long, it's now just been, no, it's your fault. It's your fault, not mine, your fault. Have some agency, right? You've got autonomy over your own fucking body. So when people bitch and moan about, watching a video for 10 minutes and then going, "Well, you talked for 10 minutes. It's like, click off the video then, retard. Like, it's super simple, mate. You know that little Xbox? Just click it. Click it. Go away. It's not hard. You're wasting your time, then you waste more time commenting that you wasted your own time. Okay. So he then continues where he said, "Whatever happened in this character's life, she's not accusing anybody. We're living in a time where there's always somebody responsible for your failures, and I don't like this. I want people to take responsibility and not just constantly point a finger at somebody else. You've ruined my life." Touché. Now, the conversation then appears to shift towards Harvey Weinstein. Of course it would, as Pollard questions, isn't it a bigger problem that men are refusing to take responsibility for abusing women and abusing their power? Gilliam responds, no, because when you have power, you don't take responsibility for abusing others. You enjoy the power. That's the way it works in reality. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, look, you shouldn't really abuse people. I don't think that's hard. A stretch for sure. He then declares that the Me Too movement is a witch hunt. Yeah, I said the Me Too movement is a witch hunt. And I will agree with that for sure. It has long been, held up now and taken by the misandrists out there. And not used as the universal tool that it could have been used as and was touted. It is now just a misandrist tool for hunting down men. I don't think that's a stretch to say at all. If you don't know what misandrist is, it's a word which I use in every video possible because it has fallen out of favour. It's essentially what feminism is now. Go check it out. You will enjoy using it in your day-to-day vocabulary. Now anyway, he continues, it says, "I really feel there were a lot of people, decent people or mildly irritating people who were getting hammered. That's wrong. I don't like mob mentality. These are ambitious adults." You can start to see the Monty Python in him coming through now. There are many victims in Harvey's life and I feel sympathy for them. But then, Hollywood is full of very ambitious people who are adults and they make choices. We all make choices. And I can tell you who did make the choice and who didn't. I hate Harvey. I had to work with him and I know the abuse. But I don't want people saying that all men, because on Fisher King, 2 producers were women. One was a really good producer and the other was a neurotic bitch. It wasn't about their sex, it was about the position of power and how people who use it. Perfect, astute observation. Harvey Weinstein doesn't represent all men. That is not all men. That is quite literally a state of power and how power has been used and affected the individual. And as he aptly states, yeah, there are women that do it and they are knobheads. So there you go. Gilliam does note that a number of the accusations against Weinstein are true, but he still believes that the subject should not be off limits, especially when it comes to finding humour in it. Agreed. Nothing should be off limits. It's a joke. Take it. It's not a dig. And those are true, but the idea that this is such an important subject, you cannot find humour in anything about it is wrong. According to Pollard, the conversation then shifts to Gilliam discussing a recent conversation he had with an actor. Gilliam details, she has got her story of being in the room and talking her way out. She says, I can tell you all the girls who didn't and I know who they are and I know the bumps in their careers. The point is, you make choices. Touché. I can tell you a very well-known actress coming up to me and saying, what do I have to do to get in your film? Terry. I don't understand why people behave as if this hasn't been going on as long as there have been powerful people. There always has. This is funny. This to me is just like, I don't know, a little bit of a bump in his own ego, but yeah, fine, I get it. Gilliam then responds that he's tired of white men being blamed for everything, so he continues. He says, I understand that men have had more power longer, but I'm tired as a white male of being blamed for everything that is wrong with the world. I didn't do it. Again, Monty Python humour. Gilliam then expresses his disdain for tribalistic behaviour, the outrage culture and a back and forth with Pollard, who describes Gilliam as the devil and his advocate. I think we know that you're now a misandrist, don't we? And, well, you do write for The Guardian, yeah, and The Telegraph. So, yeah, that would make sense, Alexandra. But, hey, look, be prepared to have a lot more views on some of your work than you probably have done before. There you go. You won't like that because it was a man that got you there as well. Gilliam Questions is a bit so simplified is what I don't like. When I announce that I'm a black lesbian in transition, people take offence at that. Why? Pollard responds, because you're not. Why am I not? How are you saying that I'm not? Pollard questions, are you? You've judged me and decided that I was making a joke. You can't identify as black though. Now, this is perfect. Because in a recent, like, something for the BBC in the UK, there's like 100 things you can identify as, which is just ludicrous. It really is. A non-spiritual, binary, two-spirit person. I'm sorry, but fuck off. That's not real remotely. And if you can identify as that, then I can identify as a black lesbian goldfish, or I can identify as my Subaru, or I can identify as my Nissan. If you can identify as a two-spirit, non-binary, non-gendered Zur, I can identify as my goddamn car. And he can identify as a black lesbian. And this is what it is. This is what it comes down to. This is exactly what he's doing. He's taking a look at the culture of the world now and going, well, this is totally absurd. Therefore, I can identify as this. And I can use your arguments against you to show utterly how ludicrous it is. Because it is ludicrous. And I'm not trying to belittle anyone that goes through transitions or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. That's not the case at all. A lot of people see me make this kind of argument and go, well, you're anti-trans. I'm actually not. Don't care that you're trans at all. I actually think the amount now that you can identify as belittles the absolutely psychologically damaging work that people do go through to experience proper transitions. And I think that's wrong. So there you go, there's my opinion. I don't necessarily fully agree with it, and I don't necessarily fully understand it, but out of it all, does that make more sense? Yeah, probably. Certainly makes more sense than a fucking two-spirit, non-binary, gender-fluid ghost. I'm sure you'll all agree. So anyway, Pollard says, like I said, you can't identify as black, though. Okay, here it is. Go on Google type in the name Gilliam, watch what comes up. What's going to come up? The majority are black people, so maybe I'm half black and I just don't look it. Pollard says, you described yourself previously as a white male. Gilliam responds, I don't like the term black or white. I'm now referring to myself as a melanin light male. I can't stand the simplistic, tribalistic behaviour that we're going through at the moment. Completely agree. I'm talking about being a man accused of all the wrong in the world because I'm white skinned, so I better not be a man, I better not be white. Okay, since I don't find men sexually attractive, I've got to be a lesbian. What else can I be? I like girls. These are just logical steps. Definitely Monty Python. Pollard says they don't seem logical. You don't seem like you've got a sense of humour, or that you understand Monty Python. Let's be honest. Probably too young. Gilliam retorts, I'm just trying to make you start thinking. You see, this is what I grew up in, and with Python, we could do this stuff and we weren't offending people. We were giving people a lot of laughter. Agreed. The fact that there was uproar about the life of Brian when they were on the cross and things like this. There were massive uproar about that from the church. People would say you can't depict Jesus, blah 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 blah, and all this, and they were like, piss off. It's a joke. He's not Jesus. He's Brian. It's called the life of Brian. He's mistaken for Jesus. Like, calm down. And this is it. Like, they were radical in their day. Now, obviously, they're not. That's considered very, fairly fair game. Now, Gilliam concludes the interview talking about diversity of thought. I'm into diversity more than anybody, but diversity in the way you think about the world, which means you can't hate what I just said. That's fine, no problem. It means you can hate what I just said. That's fine, no problem. I mean, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but fundamentalism always ends up being you have to attack other people who are not like you, and that's what makes me crazy. Life is fantastic. It's wonderful. It's so complex. Enjoy it and play with it and have fun. Agreed. A lot of people say I'm right-wing. I'm not. I'm firmly down the middle. I wouldn't say Terry Gilliam's right-wing. I would say he is centrist, to be fair, like logical kind of steps to make. Because, again, like, there's good ideas on the left, there's good ideas on the right, but when you go too extreme on either side, so fundamentalism, that's fucking ridiculous. You're all idiots. So that's why I didn't become a missionary, blah, blah, blah. And he just continues and goes on and on and on. But it's hilarious. After publishing the article, Pollard took to Twitter to make a disdain of Gilliam clear. And other people chimed in and said, in which he seems to suggest that clever women just wisecrack their way out of rape situations. Honestly, this prick's fall from grace has been Morrissey level, yet somehow he's mostly got away with it. What? Yes, exactly, hopefully for not much longer. You don't understand any sense of humour at all. Take a joke, try it for a change. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I've been Mr. H. Take care.